Back to the daily grind. The channel's getting false flagged by triggered trolls, so make sure you subscribe to the new channel. Let's get to the MMA news. And this is some big news. This is some really big news for Bellator. I told you guys, Mitrione said he would beat the fuck out of Brock Lesnar. Bellator was released, Frank Mir was released by the UFC about a month ago or a couple of months ago. Just now got picked up by Bellator. Bellator's picking up some legendary heavyweight names, man. They can have some legendary heavyweight fights. I'm telling you, if you see Frank Mir versus Fedor, tell me you're not watching, because you're casual as fuck. No, I'm just playing. There's no way you don't watch Fedor versus Frank Mir. Brock Lesnar, he's got hurdles to jump through if he wants to fight in the UFC. He's got to go through USADA. There's no good matchups for Brock Lesnar in the UFC except for Jon Jones. The only super fight for Brock Lesnar outside of Jon Jones is Frank Mir. Frank Mir and Brock Lesnar are 1-1. That they ended on bad blood. Their last match, Brock Lesnar beat Frank Mir, pummeled him, but he was still fucking, you know, you can call it bad sportsmanship, but it was a grudge. He still was holding a grudge after the fight. If you remember, he was like a famous, Brock Lesnar grabbed the mic. He said he had a horseshoe up his ass and I had to pull it out of there. Or that Brock Lesnar, when his famous shit, that was after he beat Frank Mir the second time. And so they still need to have a rubber match, the third fight. And it would have happened at UFC 200, but Frank Mir lost to Mark Hunt, which means Mark Hunt got the shot at Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar was able to beat Mark Hunt, but man, if Frank Mir could have beat Mark Hunt, he would have had the UFC 200. That would have damn near been the main event. Frank Mir versus Brock Lesnar is a super fight. So somehow, if Brock Lesnar doesn't want to go through the USADA hurdles, if he doesn't want to be, you know, known as, I mean, he'd have to go, and he'd have to fight a smaller guy. Like literally, Jon Jones would have to go up to heavyweight, which would be a big fight. That's fine. But I honestly, me personally, I would rather see Jon Jones versus Brock Lesnar. It just seems like less realistic because USADA, because Jon Jones is not a heavyweight. Jon Jones has some light heavyweight matchups. Good light heavyweight matchups. Alexander Gustafsson, I wouldn't mind seeing that. Brock Lesnar couldn't get back in the UFC for another 6 months to a year anyway, because he's got to go through like 6 months of being tested by USADA, and then his suspension. So it'd be about 6 months before Brock Lesnar, minimum, before he could fight in the UFC. Meanwhile, in Bellator, who knows? He could probably fight in Bellator fucking before the end of the year versus Frank Mir. That would be a pay-per-view right there. Frank Mir, that'd be another Bellator pay-per-view. They've been getting UFC stars, former UFC veterans, Phil Davis, Matt Mitrione, Rory McDonald, Gegard Mousasi, one of the top 3 pound-for-pound fighters on the planet. Now they got Frank Mir. I mean, Brock Lesnar, he'd be down for if they can pay Brock Lesnar. You think he's going to be loyal to the UFC? Brock Lesnar is loyal to the money. Brock Lesnar is loyal to whoever's going to give him that paycheck. You think the UFC wanted Brock Lesnar to talk about Coors Light when Budweiser's their sponsorship, or Bud Light's their sponsorship? No, but they didn't want to give Brock extra money, so he didn't give a fuck. Brock Lesnar, he don't owe the UFC anything. And if he did, Brock Lesnar wouldn't care. Brock Lesnar's that guy. If Bellator offers Brock Lesnar more money, then he's going to Bellator to fight Frank Mir. On top of the money, it's a grudge match. You don't think Brock Lesnar wants to put his hands on Frank Mir and settle it once and for all, the fucking rubber match, and he's holding that grudge? You're fucking crazy. So on top of Frank Mir's got to win over Roy Nelson. We can get that rematch. Frank Mir versus Roy Nelson. I mean, that'd be a good fight. They both got really good jiu-jitsu. I mean, who knows? Who knows how Frank Mir's gonna look? Who knows? Man, this is big to me. I mean, I told you I'm gonna be watching most of the Bellator cards anyway, but this just sets up super fight possibilities. Fedor versus Frank Mir versus Brock Lesnar 3. Fucking, I mean, not as much of a super fight, but still a good heavyweight fight. Frank Mir versus Roy Nelson. Let's fucking go. I'm fucking pumped about this. Don't be Debbie Downer in the fucking comments. Oh, all these guys are old and they're past their prime legends. But shut up! Don't tell me that. I don't want to hear that. I want to watch these fights. Let them show me that they're past their prime. I don't want to hear it from you. I want to see it from them. I want to see Brock Lesnar versus Frank Mir. I don't give a fuck what you got to say about it. If you don't want to see it, I do. It is what it is. Let the haters know what the fuck you think about Bellator picking up Frank Mir in the comments. And if you think it's even realistic that Brock Lesnar could go over there for the Brock Lesnar Frank Mir 3, which would be huge. I'm out. A blonde went to the airport ticket agent and asked to buy a round-trip ticket. The agent asked, "Where to?" The blonde rolled her eyes and said, "Duh, back here."